Hello, this is Mike at C-Specs Mags. I promised forever ago that whenever it was that we picked up one of these JTS-12s, I'd give a little opinion on it. Now, we haven't shot it yet, so I'm going to start out with that. This has not been a fired firearm, but I want to go just over a couple things of it because I noticed some things about it right off the bat that were maybe kind of surprisingly decent. So maybe it'll actually be an okay shotgun. Okay, so looking down the barrel, looks like pretty decent machine work on it. You see it's polished smooth where they inserted it into the other component. It appears to have only one gas port, rather large one, and it has a I want to say five. It's a 4-position gas system, and you can see the mechanism. These are the gas ports. There's a relief port, but this is the gas port that directs gas, and you can see it goes from 0, which matches up with the. Let's see if I can catch it. You see it says 0 there, and there's no hole. And then it goes up incrementally to your highest setting, which lets all the gas in. Then you have a kind of weird twisty puck. So this is not like a Psycho 12. I guess it's kind of like supposed to be like a self-cleaning gas puck or something like that. But you can see that it has these ports, I guess, which would function as when it opens up, it gets past the relief point and it vents all the gas out the blow-off port. So kind of a clever design. It blocks the gas here, but it also relieves it right up at the top. For reference, when you're if you take this handguard off to strip this, and you probably should because it's full of oil, you need to put the muzzle of the gun down, because this, when we have the gun muzzle up, it'll telescope and it won't allow you to take it down because that will lock in like so, and it will bind and not allow you to pull the gun apart. So you need to tip the gun down and make sure that goes down, or push it down with a rod, and then you can field strip the gun. Otherwise, you are really going to be wrestling with it, because we wrestled with it for a long time before we were like, oh, duh, you got to point it down. So there's that. Handguard kind of looks like a AK-74-ish kind of plastic grip, no metal lining or anything, but it's shot kind of get that hot. Front gas port is, or gas block is cast. Shocker, they all are. Vepr 12s are cast. So this is a spring-loaded dedent that locks, or spring-loaded lever that locks the gas adjustment notch in. So, or the setting. So pretty straightforward there. It's actually really handy compared with the little button that you have to find, like if you're out in the woods and you need to change your gas position, you can do it with your fingers. You don't have to go and look around for a stick. Because I've had to do that with the Psycho 12, looking around for a stick and then I need a quarter to turn the stupid thing. So it's actually kind of well thought out in that regard. Has AK-ish sights. Has an AK-ish top cover. Definitely not AK. Definitely not Vepr. It's ish. Looks like a metal top rail. Looks like aluminum. Yeah, it looks like aluminum, and it's bolted on. And you see, there's a underlying piece of steel that's been spot welded. I'm sure you can. Bippity. Yeah, you can see my. Okay, so you can see it's spot welded, and then the bolts run through it to hold it together, so it's not just threaded into this rather cheeseball piece of sheet metal. The receiver is like shockingly beefy. I think it looks like it's thicker than a standard like Psycho 12 or Vepr 12, so that's kind of interesting. And then it's like an inch longer than a standard AK receiver. Normally, like a standard AK receiver would be like right there. That's where it would end at, and this thing runs longer, which is good because kind of like the Psycho 12s kind of beat up their rear trinions, as do the Veprs, because it's a standard size AK receiver. So kind of seems like it's a little longer overall for the barrel length. There is another notable difference. I know back when we first saw this gun, we're like, what's that third pin there? That's not that third pin, is it? Not the bad one. And it's not, it's a rivet. So, and it's not in the right spot, and this is not really an AK receiver, so I don't think it'll be a problem. You can see it's part of the mechanism that holds the equivalent of the ejector block in. So there's no ejector block in this, and the magazine doesn't sit against the ejector block. There's actually a pair of stampings right, let's see if you can see, right there, yeah, you got it. It's a notch stamping, not a bad way to do that, pretty strong, right, bonded into the gun, and that prevents the rearward motion of the magazine, keeps it locked in. Let's see, am I done in here? It looks like a standard AK trigger group. I'll try to confirm that. I have a few spares that I can lock in and see if there's any real major difference. It does appear that the safety might be a little... it looks like kind of standard. I think it's just an AK trigger group. I hope it's an AK trigger group. Let's see any others. Oh yeah. So the front retainer, you have to flip it all the way down, all the way to the bottom for it to unlatch. That's a little weird. Normally it's just, you know, you flip it from, it points this way and then you point it, you know, 180 degrees the other way. It's 270 degrees of rotation before it moves. So a little bit bizarro there. The gas tube has a vent cut in the side, or the rather the operating rod guide tube has a gas vent cut into the side to vent any excess gas that gets into here. So it vents into the handguard group and gets that all nice and really filthy. Then your dust cover has, it's guided on the front. It's just like a JTS-12 actually, in that it has this guide rod up here but nothing else forward. And then this is actually plastic, so I don't care for that too much, but it does its job. It's just basically to keep your fingers out of the action, so I guess that works. Not sure how long that'll hold together. It has a little bit of a buffer mechanism to prevent the bolt from over traveling, so that's like your over travel stop. Bolt carrier and bolt are a little bit funky. Alright, so the bolt extracts out the opposite side. Normally it's on the bottom side, it's on the top. A little weird. The bolt appears to be fully machined, so that's a little different. You see the this portion of the operating rod, I guess you'd call it. Instead of just being a stub here on a milled portion, this is all the rod, and it's just stubbed in right back here. So it's kind of a little bit different than a JTS-12. I can't say that's worse though, because really these are normally in like a cycle or Vepr or cast, and this is machined, and then this is a machined rod, and generally machined steel's better than cast, so maybe better? I don't know. So then moving to the bolt. Bolt's a little different. It's longer. This portion kind of looks like it's cast. I'm going to say it's probably cast. And then this piece appears to be machined. It has some texture to it, but it just appears to be like the cutter marks. Like this is right here. This is cutter marks, not cast marks. So, and then this has like a texture on it, like you would see on the outside of like forged rods. So it could be a piece of tool steel or, you know, hardenable steel. Kind of an interesting difference is that this portion is independent of this portion. This is a sleeve. Like as I'm rotating this portion here is staying with this portion. So this is a small component, and this is the actual lock for the mechanism. And then this forward portion that just basically is a spacer and contains all these parts appears to be a casting, but I can't say for sure. This appears to be a fully machined component, not MIM, so that's kind of nice in theory. And the rest of it just kind of looks like it's well thought out and well built. We were looking over this, and I can't really say that either of us thought there was anything particularly wrong with the bolt or carrier. They're pretty well thought out. I kind of think this charging handle is welded on, but we couldn't come to an agreement on whether that's the case or not. I think it's welded, but just to make the part smaller so it could be machined out of, I mean, if you look at it, you could imagine it being machined out of a block of metal or a larger round in like a machining center, and that'd be like a cheap way to make a bolt. So that's kind of how I think it's made. So that's that component. All the mags are a little bit weird. We kind of decided that they're not a mag well like a Vepr. Like a Vepr is kind of more or less a straight insert. MK 1919 is definitely a straight insert. These are like a guided rock lock. So that hook still hooks on to the trunnion, and the latch here, you know, is caught, and this stops on the mag well, and then these right up at the feed lip is actually caught by little stampings inside the receiver. So it's a little weird. We checked our mags, and they lock in, they feel good, but they're not supported in the right spots. So this will actually like tear the crap out of the gun and the mags. So don't use them. We're gonna we're thinking we're going to come up with something, but no promises there. The SGM mag basically is the same story. It goes in, it locks, and it's almost going to catch those ears, but by the time it catches the ears, it's almost out of the front trunnion. So I don't think those are going to work. I don't think a Vepr mag would work either because it needs to have the front catch. So I'm kind of at a loss as to what mags would fit this gun other than the factories. So if you bought one of these and it works with the factories and works with nothing else, that's probably why. Oh, you still... Okay. One last thing is the trunnion is... This component here is cast, obviously. You can see the cast marks in it. And oddly enough, the takedown thing's on the opposite side of what would be on an AK. I don't know why, but that's just... It struck me as absolutely hilarious that it's like on the wrong side. Then... This is actually looks like a piece of hardened steel down here. Looks like either, I mean, maybe a forging, I don't know, or it's machined out of a solid block, but it is a dissimilar alloy, because you can see the coloring difference is like way not the same. I mean, it blends when you look at it at first glance, but then you start looking at the edges of it and you're like, wow, that's a different sheen, a different coloring. It didn't take the bluing right. And you can see almost brown on the inside, and that's kind of like more like chromoly. So it doesn't blue real well. It blues a weird color, and then they kind of like force matched it. So that's why. Overall, I'm kind of impressed. Oh, it doesn't take AK stocks at all. This is some weird bastardage of a stock. It looks just like an AK stock, but for some reason they went out of their way to make sure that you could not change the stock to anything else. Maybe AK pistol grips fit. I'm not holding my breath on that one. I doubt anything is all to AK standard, which is bizarre because, I mean, why would you go out of your way to make something different, right? But overall, it's not, doesn't look to be a bad gun. I think I'd like to run some shells before I say, yeah, go out and buy it. But, you know, definitely looks a lot more promising than the Catamount Furies. Catamount Furies are crusty. They're not a real good shotgun. But they do function, so for whatever that's worth. But anyway, I'll give you a little bit more of a review once we actually get out and shoot it, and once we, you know, get some idea of how good or bad things are. So, catch you later.